Today I want to talk about security online because I ran into an issue where my dad has a new phone, he canceled the old one, and now I need to get his, in this case, his Google email account on the phone. Unfortunately, you run into a problem when you cancel your phone and you don't go into your email and update anything. Hence the case here. So I've been trying to basically verify that it's his account because I'm the one who helps him. I don't need to change the password. I have the password. There's no two-step verification, so I'm able to log in. Unfortunately, Google tends to look at whatever phone is in the account, which is sort of a catch-22, because now I'm trying to get him online or get that account on his new phone, but the account says they're gonna send you a text message to your old phone. And not only that, I noticed that that number on the account is an old number, so that's why I'm making this video, so that you guys are aware of this. If you use a Google account, make sure you go into your information settings and update your phone number, because if you don't, you might get stuck and get locked out if you do change your phone before updating any of that. So I want to make you aware of that. Now, I've messaged them for help or feedback. I don't know if they'll fix it, but as I've said, I do have the account. I'm able to go into the login, but the problem now is that it doesn't matter if I try to do it from my phone or a laptop. It tells me that's not an approved system. So I can't even log into the account in order to update it, because I do have the password, I do have his information. So I don't need that, but the system itself is not letting me do it, which is what brings me to the video. When we talk about security, you gotta remember, sometimes you can overdo it with security, and I've seen this over and over, and I will show you another example of another issue that I'm having with another website that just added an ID.me ID verification, and I've been helping someone else with an account there, but because she hasn't been able to get verified, she is not allowed to go into the site and do what she needs to do, which is a different government site. So the point here is that it's good to have security, but when you put so many layers to the point where it's useless, or you're not able to allow someone to do their work eventually, then that security is just useless. It's not gonna be a security. You're just basically closing everything, and then you basically stop everything, and that's not the point of security. Yes, I understand that's what they do it, but you gotta keep in mind that if you are not careful, you end up in this situation where people cannot access their information, or you're not going to be able to, say, update your information so that you can keep moving along. This is something that I've noticed over and over and over, and I don't know who's doing that, but some people just don't seem to understand that there's a point where you have to back off from that, because yes, security is fine, but you overdo it and it becomes the opposite of what you want it to be. So with that said, I've already did all this. As you can see, I tried to recover the phone. It just told me, yeah, I went ahead and put my password, what I remember, the security question and all that, but then it went back to saying that this system is not allowed. So I'm pretty much at a standstill in that account, so I can't even do that. Obviously, the other option would be to make a new account, which is pointless because I don't want to make a new account. And then if you have people making new accounts, then you're just getting your system full of accounts that you are gonna have left over and no one's using. So that makes no sense. So even though I still have the account, as I've said, it's still not letting me do it. So I recover, I did that, and then it gives you other fixes, but it's telling you on this one, it says if your Android device is offline. Well, that device is not just offline, it's disconnected, so I can't even do a verified anything. So the phone is not available, and no matter what I do, it just won't let me. It just won't let me fix that. So as you can see, I've been looking around trying to recover. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. So in the end, I'm not able to recover anything on this account. I've been trying with that, and I'm hoping to let it give it some time. Maybe that'll reset something, but I doubt it. It's just not letting me do it because I should be able to at least log into it from another place. I know they do that for security, but you can literally kick yourself out if you're not careful. So that's the point of this video, because I don't want people to run into this. And I just ran into this, so I'm going through the steps right now. Now here's another example of what I'm talking about. For those who live here in the United States, the unemployment office has now implemented a new ID.me verification to prove that you're the person who you claim to be. And they've done this because of a lot of problems that they had with people stealing money and so forth. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because now the person I'm helping with the unemployment, well, she's not able to complete a new application until this verification is done. We've been trying for 2 weeks, and I even sent them an email letting them know that we're having problems with it, because on the options that they have, you can actually put in 2 documents or 3 documents if you want. We already put like different documents. We told her we want 2, but she already has 3. And the system, or they need to talk to somebody in person to verify that it's her, which is very cumbersome, because if you have millions of people trying to verify, they'll never get to you. So right now this is at a standstill because the system itself will not allow me to go past the documents, since it says, like, I believe her passport is expired, so we went ahead and changed that passport document to the citizenship document. That went up, that uploaded fine, but the system's still not letting her through. So here's another example of where you have added security to protect you, but at the same time it's literally stopping you cold from doing anything. So that's another example. It's a perfect example because I'm literally going through through having these problems this week on both of these. And so when you try to layer security, make sure that you test your system to make sure that it's working correctly, because if you're just putting stuff out here and letting people figure it out, and you're just gonna have a headache on yourself, on your hands. So I want to bring this up because it's pretty frustrating trying to do something and the system itself completely stops you in your tracks from even doing anything. And yes, I understand this is a security thing that people are implementing, but it seems like everything was implemented as an afterthought instead of before, when you started doing this. Obviously we can't go back and change that, it's just the way it is. But since I've been having to get back into my IT side, I need to bring this up so that people who are in charge of this make sure that you do have security, but don't make it so that it completely stops people on their tracks, to especially the people who do need to use the systems, and they're not allowed to get through and do their work, because this is just not only annoying, but it's completely keeping people who really need to get through some of this stuff and get some of their work done and paperwork or whatever they may need to work. You can't have people calling you. Well, in this case, it would be millions of people trying to call. I remember somebody was calling. They had to call about 100 times into their offices before somebody answered. And if your system is working correctly, you're not going to have that problem. So it's just something I wanted to bring up for those who do work in IT and you are in charge of doing security or putting up websites. Make sure you do test your system, because you want to make sure that that works, even if it's slower. As long as it works. Sometimes the internet might be slow. It's just the way it is. But if your system doesn't work, then you get another whole can of worms coming at you. And I've seen that same thing with banks. I know they do that for security, but remember, there's always a fine line between security and not security, obviously, but you do want to make sure you allow at least your users to use your system, because if you don't, you're just asking for it. So I know it's not much of a video, but it's just something I've been going through. It's frustrating me, and I'm okay with it because I work on computers, but somebody who's not, this is definitely not a way you want to start with your customers or anyone trying to use your system, because even though they did answer my email and they said that they're very busy and doing all this and that does nothing for me. Now, looking at the ID.me page just makes me think of how bad this system is. The system may be the greatest system if it works, but because it is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, my view of this side, it's a very negative one right now. So that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to turn people away, because yeah, your system could be the best, but if it doesn't work, yeah, you're not gonna be very happy when you hear people talking about your particular system or your website or whatever the case may be. So always keep that in mind, and hopefully things will work themselves out a little better. People will start looking at this stuff a little closer instead of being an afterthought. It's something I've seen over and over, just like when you do IT and people are starting an office, they don't think about the actual system itself before they even start doing other stuff. A lot of places are an afterthought, so you have to go in and fix a lot of things. But there's no excuse for this particular security walls. This is what I'm going to call them, because that's what it is. You just completely stop everybody from using it, and it defeats the whole purpose of having a security or a secure website for you to use, or anybody to use. And it seems like a lot of places here, at least in the USA, I've noticed that. I mean, that's everywhere. Sure, security is important, but just keep that in mind. There's a fine line between good security and really, really bad security, and that goes with physical and virtual security. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's like eating too much of the same thing. It's not gonna be good. Anyways, I think I did my talking now, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And any thoughts, just put them below. I mean, I'm not trying to complain about anybody. I think everybody's having their own problems that they have to work through, but this is something I like to bring up, and this is something I look at every now and then. So there you have it.